Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 6 of the Rewatch podcast presented by the Terrible Video Gamers Club. I'm your host, Tyler Schatz, who also hopes his gravesite will be a facade someday. Joining me on this fine recording session are one Stephen Howard,
whose head is generally invaded with random people's memories and kills him and destroys him as well.
Amanda Howard,
who's also had those terrifying moments where I'm like, who am I? Who am I? Who am I?
Mr. Josh Cox,
who's singing like no one's listening, dancing like no one is watching, and living my life like the timeline is proceeding as set out in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
There you go.
Ooh.
And last, but certainly never least, one Gary Delaney.
About a half of episode of reused clips and lots of text cards and very little voiceover. I feel like we've hit the point where they're running out of money on this show.
So I have to ask, did you get the translated text cards there, Gary, when you were watching it?
It literally was like big effing kanjis of the and then just like very tiny subtitles. And I was watching it at like 1 a.m. and like not awake enough to do heavy reading to follow a TV show. So not impressed. And then I realized it's just like monster number 1, monster number 2, monster number 3. And I'm just like, I can go and make popcorn right now. Nothing important. And then there's occasional voiceovers. Also, that whole first half of the episode was like nightmare fuel for someone trying to watch it on like an acceptable volume, because it's just like crashing and monster noises nonstop. And I'm just like, I just want to hear the voiceover. But it's just like then back to like crashing and monster noises again. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wake somebody up.
Go ahead, Stephen.
So I do want to point out that you do learn new stuff in those the flashbacks, I should say. And the main thing that you learn is the name of every single one of the angels that is fought, which I almost dropped last week, but JC stopped me. So, but no, this is the one where you actually learn all the names of the angels as you go through. And Amanda's sitting there while we're doing this. I'm going, oh, you see all the names of the angels? This is when it's actually happening. And she goes, the hell are these things?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I clearly memorized them too, Stephen. I definitely know all the names now.
See, I knew I didn't need to pay attention because you guys were paying attention to the arbitrary details during that 5 minutes of episode.
I wrote the names down too, so.
Oh, wow. See, you guys did
I'm
good.
sure the internet probably has those names too.
I
Like,
think it
do.
took me like,
a 3-second Google search.
I think it took me like 3 of them before I was like, oh, these are named. And then I think at the same time Stephen mentioned something, and I was like, what? I needed a few explanations from him, and then I regretted not watching the rest of the episode with him because I needed more explanation about what was happening.
And
Yeah,
I was going to quick say that we did get a lot of explanation here in episode 14, Weaving a Story, or Seal the Seed of the Soul. The little synopsis here. The Human Instrumentality Committee recollects the past angel encounters and battles. Rei and Shinji undergo intercompatibility testing with their respective Evangelions, but this results in a strangely familiar incident. And yeah, we get that big clip show almost at the start of it, but I still have quite a few notes. I mean, we had the angel names, but a lot of things like even just small little flavor text almost, where it's almost it is a synopsis for us, but also it seems like it's packaged for somebody in universe. It talks about how the existence of angel number 3, Sachiel, was never publicly released that fight even happened. We have like an essay from Toji being kind of excerpted and discussed there. Little things like Kinsuke has an essay that he writes about Ayanami. It's just a lot of little things like that that kind of shows like privacy's not even a thing in this world. Tyler?
So I'm going to ask a question, and I don't really want it answered yet here. And I'm sure you guys probably know what's coming up. Is like, do the angel names actually mean anything, or do they have something to do with what's going on, or are they just names of the angels? Again, I'm asking the question now. I probably don't really want it answered right now. Go ahead, Steven.
So I actually kind of liked the flow. I know we were watching this today, and Amanda didn't like the first half of this episode. She's like, "What? Why?" She had the same reaction as Gary, go to say, but why are we watching this? This seems, redundant, blah blah blah. And I was like, this puts together the flow. Until now, we've been seeing segmented, multiple different episodes as you've been going through, and you can kind of lose the overarching plot in everyone's monster of the week, sort of things that we've been talking about. We've been talking about how these are all segmented now and all different. This is one cohesive 15-minute. This is the plot. This is what's happening. This is the main story. Pay attention to this.
Okay. Is it intentionally dry, boring, and heavy and very difficult for casual viewers? Very much like a Windows 95 PowerPoint presentation. Like,
When
is
was
it
this-
intentionally
when was this
dry
created?
as like a meeting?
When was this TV show aired?
95.
Somewhere around there.
Yes. I was intentionally dated to Windows 95 PowerPoints. I could say in present day PowerPoints have not gotten any better. If anything, maybe the forced slides, transitions, and wipes have become a little less aggressive in my current life. I remember learning it in, back when I was a young lad. And it was like every single freaking slide had to have a slide, a wipe, anyway, rabbit hole. But is this intentionally dry? Because I did not think this was good casual viewing. In order to stay current with it, you literally couldn't look away from the screen. Amanda?
I honestly had a lot of the similar and yet different thoughts because I was sitting there being very flippant towards Steven. He's like, "Oh, it's something yet for you," and I was like, "I've been watching it. I know what's going on." Like Gary said though, you did have to really pay attention. I mean, not that you're not paying attention when you watch a show, but like I was sitting here looking for like, am I missing something? Are there extra details? There was a couple little things in there, but I missed some of the things that you'd already pointed out were in there. But yeah, I think I sat there. I was like, I started zoning out to like halfway through because I was like, oh, this is just gonna be a repeat of this is what you missed until now.
And I will say that it's definitely something that on first watch, I probably also glazed through it most of the time. Also, it was one of those things that if you didn't take the time to turn off the typical subtitles you were watching with and get those extra Netflix bonus subtitles that were there, you were probably missing some of the things that were going on. Because like the slides would have little bits of extra information. Sometimes the talking would override that and you get the talking subtitles instead. So it's a very extremely dense and dry thing because it does read to me like something that was created for somebody in world. It's this militaristic just synopsis of, hey, here's what's going on. I think we later find out in the episode that it's most likely that Kaji has created this for some of his spycraft stuff is my read on it, at least. I don't know if we ever get a technical direct answer on this specific piece of footage, but yeah, it's something like, hey, this is to my boss, here's my PowerPoint presentation about what this UN agency's been up to, that it's probably not cool. So yeah, that is dry, yeah, that is dense, yeah, but especially on this second watch now, like coming to it now after some of the later revelations of even just episodes 14 and 15 here, it's more fascinating to me to kind of look at it now and see how it's being presented within the world to others.
I do think this show is going to be fascinating on a rewatch. Like after we finish this, I think it's going to be. I'll understand a lot more. But I did have the beginning of this episode when I started doing all those. I had this mental, very loud sigh of, oh, we're back to when I don't know what the date is.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of a rewatch, I've been now tossing up in my head of like, well, before we do our final episode, do I want to quickly breeze through the entire show again? Do I want to watch those updated director's cut versions of the entire show? All sorts of questions are popping up now of like, what do I want to do when I get towards the end here? I will call out here though, just to satisfy Gary's saving money part there or whatever. And this is something that keeps sticking out in my mind since I don't know if anyone here watches the Invincible show on Amazon.
I've seen up to like season 2.5.
Okay. There's an episode
Season
where he meets with a comic creator in the game, in the universe there of the show, and then they talk about like what they do to save money in animation and stuff like that. How if they have a character talking, it's like move the head off screen or just put like something over their face and something like that, so they don't have to draw like the mouth moving and stuff like that. And you get that a lot in this episode too, because like all those scenes of Gendo sitting there talking with his other guy there. The other guy, about the only thing that's happening with him is his eyes are moving, and Gendo's sitting there with his hands in front of his mouth the entire time. So I thought that was like, as I'm watching that, I'm like, yeah, this is just to save money. This is what they're doing to save money here in the show, because it's just like, we're not drawing the mouths moving here. We're not drawing really anything more than the guy's eyes blinking. And I think they use multiple shots of like that back shot there, where it's just like both of them sitting at the table and like a silhouette and stuff like that. They keep zooming back out to that. So it was just kind of a funny thing. I kept picking up and going, oh yeah, that's why they're doing that.
That's cool. That sounds like something I would do in like art class. Like, okay, I'm really bad at this particular drawing. Let's see how I can do anything but that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to watch for that from now on.
Steven, do you want to take over here for talking about the episode a little bit?
Sure. So I already gave my opinion of the first part of this episode. For the second part of the episode, the funniest thing that just keeps happening is, and it goes into it a little bit more deeply too, almost. But how do you feel in the when they're everyone's testing out interoperability between the different Evangelions, and the first thing that Rei thinks is it smells like Shinji. The second thing that Shinji thinks when he's in Rei's is it smells like Rei. Like, it's just kind of funny little things, and it's probably goes to show that when they are melding in with these machines, you're still getting that maybe hint of the main pilot, and that so you're getting that kind of waft almost of them, or maybe like how you'd smell burnt toast if you're having a aneurysm.
I
Gary?
actually
Oh.
thought that was fascinating, because when Ray first said it, I was like, oh, that's just her saying the weird awkward thing that comes to her brain. When Shinji did it too, I was like, oh, you know what? It's kind of like their essence. We can tell these machines are kind of more closely bonded with these pilots, and yet possibly can still work with each other. But I thought that was fascinating, because I mean, they're closely connected in their minds to this thing, and the mind, I'm sure the mind has a feeling as well. I mean, it's not just. I wondered if it was actually a physical smell, or if they just meant like this. It feels like them.
I got the sense that it could have been like a essence of other person, but I also definitely got like the. It probably just smells like a teenage boy in this cockpit. Like she's used to sitting in a cockpit that only she had sat in, and there's like, now we're gonna sit where a teenage boy has sat for hours on end. Like, it's gonna smell sweaty and kind of gross. And I'm sure when Shinji went in there, it's like, it smells like roses and perfume and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, because it is.
I guess Ray is not a roses and perfume sort of person, but I thought it was more physical. Like, I don't know if they were trying to play at like a larger, like, psychological connection, but yeah. Sorry, I interrupted people.
I was going to point out that it's not even like you're walking into their dorm room. Remember, that's like it's filled up with fluid that they're sitting in and like just soaking in. So we don't even get like a sense of like, is there a fresh batch of LCL that's pumped in every time, or is it really just that you're just basically hopping into Shinji's bathwater and just soaking that in all day long? You know, so yeah, definitely a blending of that machine and human thing.
And the lead up to that also is just. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
That's okay. This is from the next episode, but they mention smells a few times in there too, like the sense of other people. So we're kind of realizing what scent is definitely identified as this is what this person smells like. I can tell this person's presence is here.
What do you smell? Man flesh. Sorry. Anyways, but the lead up to that too is actually pretty kind of, I don't know, meta, weird. It's Ray just, I guess, maybe merging with a whole bunch of these different essences, and she's saying blue, the color of the sky, it's empty, and blah blah blah, and the sun, there's only one of those, and red, I hate it because it looks like blood, and it's very very meta. And I almost wondered if it could, like, I started looking up, like, could this have been put in like almost a poem format, like a haiku format almost. Who knows? But it was very meta going through all of those. Amanda?
Well, first of all, you just had me literally like counting the syllables to check and see if you were right. The random sentence I picked did not fit it, but we'll see. Gary, I think you're muted.
Not originally in English, so it could be a haiku in
Ooh, good
Japanese
point.
or whatever.
I listened to it in English this time. I actually seeing that part. I felt like I was supposed to be like, oh, this is trippy, oh weird. But I did have that moment, like I said in the beginning of that moment of like, I've definitely had several of these thoughts. She's on a different page than I am, but and I was like, I don't think this is that crazy or unreasonable, especially with what she's gone through. These are all valid observations.
And the only other two things that I really had were, and these are little tidbits TV tropes that I just hate, so I had to call them out. We have Akagi being the stereotypical scientists, where we do what we must because we can, and she does say she needs a backup. They need some sort of backup as they go through, but it's very obvious that when she is pushing Shinji's sinking limit to like level 2 and using a dummy, which I'll be honest, I don't entirely understand exactly what happens there either, but she pushes it too far, and it gets in Shinji's head pretty bad, starts messing with him, and the unit goes berserk and tries to kill someone. And just like there were no safeguards in place for this. You just kept pushing because you can push. I don't know. That was kind of neither here nor there for me. Go for it.
Yeah, the sync test to me was, I read the dummy plug situation as something that was like that this test being successful meant that the dummy plug, whatever this thing is, can be viable in the future. I didn't think that it was something they were necessarily using right then and there. I thought basically it was just a pure sync issue between Shinji and Unit Zero that caused something to meld, where Rei flashes into Shinji's mind, and we get the words from back to my notes here. Words from Ritsuko. Is it trying to take Shinji just like before? So it's one of those things that now we know that the inside of it already smells like Rei, apparently, and now like it apparently somehow took Rei or something like that ahead of time, or maybe a different pilot, I guess. So
Absorbed, I'm pretty sure is what they say, right?
absorbed, yeah. I think the spoken English just says take, but yeah, I noticed the subtitle said something like absorbed. So yeah, it's I didn't catch it. The dummy system was part of that directly, but it was still still a dicey situation to be throwing your pilots into just for testing purposes. And I did notice too that like for this, but first of all, back in the poem section of Rei, she's talking about all the people she knows, Ikari, Misato, and the pilot of Unit 2. She doesn't even say Asuka's name.
Yeah.
And sure enough, who's not participating in this whole like swap in Eva test? Asuka. She just sits in Unit 2, and they make a little comment on like, well, yeah, that's because Unit 2 can't be part of this test, but we don't really know why. For some reason, this can only involve Shinji, Rei, Unit 1, and Unit 0. More fun
Strange.
to figure out. Maybe
Yeah.
a clip show later on will tell us.
That was a very exciting end of the episode after the beginning in it, because I was glued to it at the end, like, what on earth is happening? We're getting little tidbits here.
And
Or
then,
the sorry, even the ending of this episode, getting like the gosh, I'm trying to remember how this episode ended. Which parts of it? Sorry.
The Spear of Longinus.
When it started, wait, am I thinking of the wrong one? When it started attacking.
That happens, but it's that is basically right after the title card. The title card happens basically halfway through the episode. We get the clip show, the color council, and then the poem,
Okay.
followed by the sync test, and then like Shinji wakes up in the hospital again, and that's kind of like the whole last section there. He sees the hospital ceiling again, talks about how he hates the ceiling, and then yeah,
I thought that was funny.
That
Yeah.
was funny, and it was a fair
good
comment.
callback. Yeah, yeah. It's a climactic moment of the show, of this episode for sure. Is that freak out of Unit 0 just bashing its head straight up against the wall? Shotzi?
This episode does end with Rei in Unit 0 walking down a long hallway with that giant spear in hand.
Of
That was why I thought
Longinus.
there was
Spear
speed.
of Longinus.
Yeah, Tyler, give it its title, God.
No. I am saying that to Gary, who just called it Spear of Longinus.
Oh.
Longinus. Okay, so Steven's correcting me on pronunciation. Steven, is that based on how you read it? Because you don't listen with English spoken
Yeah,
word. So I
The
award you
Spear
no
of
points.
Longinus isn't Japanese. The Spear of Longinus is from the Bible.
Oh, this is a real thing.
Yes,
Whoa.
the Spear of Longinus is
I just
from a Bible.
assumed they made it up.
Immediately
so-
Googling it.
I thought it was Longinus. Ginus. Longinus.
Anyway, quick history lesson. The Spear of Longinus was the spear that after Jesus was crucified, he's on the crucifix or whatnot, and the Roman soldiers say, oh, well, prove that he's dead. And so, oh, well, how are we going to do that? Well, one of the soldiers takes a spear, and Longinus is the soldier, takes a spear, shoves it, stabs Jesus, and then it becomes a holy relic because, of course, it does in Christian mythology.
Holy crap. Like, if that's actually like what it's referencing, it's much more of an important naming convention for the next episode than I thought. I just thought it was like the spear of a mighty power willingness, like
No,
just
it's
Longinus.
weapon name
Longalities.
generator in an old Diablo game. Like,
Nope.
just
literally the spear that speared
reflex and
Jesus
aesthetics.
Christ.
Yep, also known as the Holy Lands, the Spear of Destiny, or the Holy Spear.
Those are all good euphemisms
They're good
for
names.
something.
Oh.
Well,
My
let's
brain,
not
my
go
brain
there, Gary.
goes in the gutter.
Oh, Gary.
It goes in terrible. It goes in the gutter. Sorry. Anyway.
For what it's worth, just went back to the episode, and Fuyutsuki does pronounce it Longinus.
Does they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Ooh, so
I
Gary
may
was
say it
right?
like that for a while.
There is not. They are not
I'm not-
right.
I'm not going to say that the people behind Third Children are the authority in how to pronounce Longinus. So
Oh, so we can't let Gary's
I
head get
literally-
too big.
Wrote it grammatically because I'm like trying to take notes. I was like, spear of like this Longinus. Okay.
I actually
Let's
wondered when
make
they.
up a name. Let's just make up a name.
Well, I actually wondered when they referenced that in here, whether it was going to be something that's a little bit more well known, because they don't actually go into any of the history. They just call it the Spear of Longinus and go for, hey, you better know what that is. So, I mean, if you're not up on your random Bible, knowledge, which I'll be 100% honesty right here. The reason why I know what the Spear of Longinus is because it is a artifact that you can gather in, Crusaders 2 or something like that. I know it from a game. I don't know it because I read the Bible that much, but I do know
Okay,
what
so-
it is.
only Steve. Has anyone else heard of this, or just Steven knew the
I have
biblical
hold of
reference?
the Holy Lance. I did not know the name Spear of Longinus.
Okay. I feel like
I-
the naming is much more relevant.
Yeah,
Like,
I knew of it from previously watching the show, but I'm also not from a very religious background. So I was thinking too, in terms of, I know last episode you had tried to mention the angel names, Stephen, but do you have any like background on those? I know that I know enough to know that I've looked them up and seen that they are actual angel names in some sense, but beyond that, I don't know if they actually tie into the episodes at all.
Found that
Name these
all but
things?
I found
Like-
that all but
Sorry,
what?
I just wanted to know. Like, I thought this during the thing. I think I said this to you, Steven. I was like, wait, who's in charge of naming? Who got to name these things? Is how do I get that job?
Kaji.
There you go.
There you
Just
go.
chilling at one day going, what am I going to say? Yeah, I'll just give them random names. Well, at least when I looked up last week, what I remember is, because I do not know, some of these angels are directly related from Adam, which I don't want to get into a biblical lesson here or something, but technically angels are a different race than humans. You cannot be a human and become an angel. If you die, you do not become an angel. That's not how it works. They are a different entire race than humans.
Okay,
Biblically.
the information in the next episode had me wondering, do I need to ask for more explanation, or do I just need to hold tight and all will be revealed in time?
That being said, some of these angels are quote unquote related to Adam somehow. And I know I at least one of the angels that I looked up last week, because I don't know these ones off the top of my head, they're using weird, like they're using uncommon names for them because it sounds really freaking cool. And at least one of them didn't have any reference behind it. Like I couldn't even find it on a Catholic site or a Christian site. So it's at least one of them was just kind of out there. Everyone else had like the Angel of Time and stuff like that. It wasn't. I couldn't find fantastic connections, and I'm sure that if you go on the wiki, they have better connections.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
okay, Steven, just a random thought, as you said you've been like Googling Christian websites. What do your banner ads say now after like several hours of searching Christian websites? Are you now pro-life? Do you have strong opinions about politics?
Let's stop there, Gary. Let's cut
Well-
that conversation off before it even starts. There.
Anyway, I just imagine, as I know, you search anything random, it affects your banner ads. Anyway,
real quick, I do have a response to that. My response to that is, I haven't looked at enough of those sites to get away from the Chechen militants that I have also researched. Therefore, still have more Chechen militant ads than I do Christian ads. So
It definitely does affect your stuff. Steven has come to me to warn me that he was trying to draw a D&D character, and that's why there's random.
get out of here. I don't want to hear this. I had pictures of knees. Okay, I had pictures of people's knees. I don't know how to draw a knee. Knees are fucking hard, guys. They're really fucking hard.
Okay. Besides that was like a subtext. It was I was gonna say, like, obviously with the spear of Longinus and angels, is that there's a lot of like biblically references. Like, I thought that was kind of crazy. Also, going back to Steven's earlier point, which is that knowing that angels are a different race than humans, I know that because I played the Diablo games and Tyrael cuts off his wings and goes down to earth as the unknowing man. But so, I mean, obviously everyone should know that information.
Of course.
Yeah, we all saw Matt Damon in Dogma. Yeah, that's exactly the situation.
True.
Yep.
That's
If you tell me that Dogma's not real, I'm gonna just punch you in the face because Dogma's fantastic.
Dogma, I think, is still owned by Miramax, so I will not purchase it or acknowledge
Whatever
it.
Miramax is, I don't know what that is. Sorry, we're getting way off topic.
Harvey
Until
Weinstein.
it's true.
Stop there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. To get back towards the show here, I guess I don't know. Did we hit?
Well,
Go ahead, Stephen.
I had one more comment. This could be
Sure.
a really quick one. At the very end, I do have a comment that the really smart assistant to Commander Ikari is playing shoji, and it goes to the trope of, oh, look, you can tell he's smart because he's playing chess, and I hate that trope, so just wanted to call that out.
He does. He will say it every time.
Because everyone that plays chess is super smart.
Says somebody who plays chess. Like the stereotype
Yeah.
works for you, Steven. Just
Yeah.
No.
enjoy it.
No. I
It's
play
not.
chess, so that should disprove it right now. That should be the disproof right here.
Well, we give you the
Proof that
compliment of
you're-
not believing that.
Proof that you're a crazy person who loves chess so much they have books in their apartment about chess.
I have multiple books.
His daughter has books.
That's true.
Is it like My First Chess Game, or what is this book?
I
I don't remember.
don't remember the name of it either.
That's the nice thing about being parents is you can control your child's interests at this age.
And see, I was even going back to it now. I read it as a book of Sudoku. So yeah, I'm glad that you clarified that it's a chess book.
Yeah, it's
I can see it now.
It's a shoji positioning book.
So, Steven, are
What?
you saying... I don't even remember the chess scene. Who was playing chess? Are you saying they weren't smart?
No, he is smart, but it's a trope. Sorry.
Wasn't paying
Well,
attention to chess.
Maybe he just liked chess. Like,
Yeah.
people can't like chess, Steven?
Dude is sitting next to like this entire occult thing in the bottom basement of the bottom basement of the bottom basement of NERV, just randomly with a chess book out there, just playing chess while his boss is sitting there going, "How shall we destroy or take over the world?" Well, king to d3, so I don't know about that.
Maybe you're just not, like, a serious enough chess player. You should just have a travel set that you can take out in the middle of a bottom basement headquarters of a secret society thing. Like,
It's
is
fair
it
enough.
would that not calm you down while you're constantly fighting for the, fate of the planet?
Next time a customer yells at me, I'm just going to whip out a chess set and start ignoring him and playing chess.
There you go. That's probably
Even there's such a thing as just having a job in a very mundane setting that you need something to entertain yourself. Have you ever seen people who work at like hotels? Like they have books, like they're just passing the time. But if you're several miles under the ground, like you can't go to the park today, like you're sitting here in evil headquarters. And you gotta wait here until your boss gives you something to do. I might as well read a book.
They have access to magic elevators everywhere, Gary. They have all the fun that they can want.
Maybe the evil headquarters supply the chess sets like on every level. You've got one.
There you go. It's a perk of the job.
Maybe it's part of the communist mind trap that they're teaching everyone chess.
It's true, 100%. Anyways, that was the last. I just wanted to point out that trope, so that was the last thing.
Okay. Amanda, do you have anything you'd like to talk about with the episode?
I think we covered everything that I thought of. I
Okay.
did fail to take notes this week. I am sorry, guys. You have only my thoughts and images or impressions of the show.
Thought you were going to say like thoughts and prayers, and then we're going to go down a whole
You
other
have my thoughts
conversation.
and prayers. I mean, sometimes with this show, it does have my thoughts and prayers. I will admit, it sucks you in. I sit here wanting to watch the next episodes, and I want to Google things like Steven's doing, but I'm scared of getting spoilers, and I would like to keep this going.
Exactly. Same here. JC, did you have anything you wanted to touch on?
Just kind of like my intro alluded to, that during the color council thing, Gendo's defense to them saying, "Hey, you guys need to." We know, specifically says, "We know you're exceptionally capable of falsifying the facts," which is a great line that I like. Not that you can like distort the facts or hide the facts. No, you falsify the facts. And he replies, "Our schedule is proceeding just as the Dead Sea Scrolls described," which is a very great biblical reference as well. But yeah, that's then leads into that last conversation where Fuyutsuki's playing his book of chess. There is that he's basically saying that things are going to get complicated if Seal gets involved at this point. At this point, previously we had known that the Color Council had ulterior motives to NERV, and now it's very clear that Gendo and Fuyutsuki and everybody are working even beyond what Sela is looking for, and so it's yet another abstracted thing where it's like, okay, well now what does this mean? But it's still just another layer of the cake getting unveiled here. Steven?
I had that actually as a note for even the next episode too. It's that Akari's playing like a quadruple game here. It's not just layers upon layers of different people that he's playing.
As if he was playing 3D chess?
Oh. Which version of 3D chess, Amanda? There are two.
I don't know, Steven. I think it's a metaphor, though. Maybe that's what the chess set was there for.
I'm so glad that Gary's muted and trying to talk so much at us right now and just angrily gesturing at the camera.
I muted when I should have unmuted. Okay, so if Steven actually knows how to play 3D chess, I'd actually be impressed and I'd want him to teach me. But something tells me Steven does not know how to...
It's very easy. There's two different versions of 3D chess.
Okay.
Welcome to our 3D chess podcast. We've got Steven on ready to show us all how to play.
Anyway.
That was the most impressed I've ever seen Gary look at you.
Okay, so I'm thinking of 3D chess as like what I know from Star Trek shows. Is that probably something different?
Nope, that's one of them.
Okay. I only acknowledge no other chess except for that is played in Star Trek. Everything else is a subpar version.
But
anyway.
But Akari's playing, like I said, a quadruple game here. It is impressive. And we even start getting more ideas about just how disconnected NERV is from just the rest of the government even. You have the United Nations, you apparently have Japan, then you have NERV, and inside NERV you have the Marduk Institute, and inside the Marduk Institute you have it's like it is what are the little the Russian Potemkin eggs?
Nesting dolls.
Nesting dolls.
Yeah, nesting dolls.
Nesting dolls.
Thank you.
I knew something Steven didn't. Count that one up
you did.
Today.
We don't have a count for that.
Damn it. I guess I would ask, obviously Steven's on a rewatch. Like, I am struggling to catch all these different layers of government bureaucracy, and obviously the episodes like last time where it was like a lots of government bureaucracy explained. I was like, this is like so dry, and I just lost it. So I guess for people, Amanda or Tyler on a first watch, are you understanding all this government bureaucracy?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say no. I understand NERV is if you go in the hierarchy, there's the Japanese government, then NERV is somewhere above them because they have higher level clearance or whatever. But a lot of the other names, I'd almost need to sit down with like a pen and paper and sketch out, okay, this is all of the different stuff that they've talked about, and I haven't done that. So it's just more details that I'm trying to pay attention to as we go along throughout the show.
Yeah, mine's probably similar. Like, I understand they exist. For me, they're all different circles on a blank canvas somewhere. I have no clue how they're connected. I'm just trying to focus on what I can.
Yeah.
Although I did... Is the Color Council, is that actually the official name for it?
No,
that's just
that was mine.
Yeah.
Okay, because you kept saying that, and I was like, that's actually a really good name.
Yeah.
Am I an idiot? Was it called that the whole time? Because I can totally see it.
No.
I love it. It's a good name for it.
And I'm honestly not even entirely sure, so maybe Steven correct me, but I believe that is SEAL. Like that, the Color Council is SEAL, which is a organization within NERV, like kind of outside, but they're supposedly telling NERV what to be doing, but they have these ulterior motives that involves the human instrumentality project. And so all that's what's going on to then NERV is inside the UN. And so yeah, it is that nesting doll situation. And as like Steven mentioned as well, we're going to find out in episode 15, there's even more going on when they have things like the Marduk Institute, which is what determines who's going to be an EVA pilot. Like that even also has all sorts of things going on with it too. So convoluted, but
Yeah.
on second watch, I'm following it better than on first watch for sure.
I was gonna say I don't hold it against anyone watching this the first time not being able to get that sort of layer thing that's going on here, because it is very convoluted, and they don't say it straight up. They do wait for you to catch it. Like, I don't think at any singular point they tell you what Seal is. They just go, oh yeah, and Seal does this and Seal does that, and you're like, who's Seal? And then you have to use kind of context references to get who it is.
Kiss from a Rose. Something something. It's from Batman Forever.
What?
What?
The theme song from Batman
Artist
Forever
Seal.
was sung by an artist named Seal, who had a song
Oh my
called Kiss
gosh.
from a Rose.
Seal?
I'm sorry. If you understood how crazy awesome that song is, and the only good thing about Batman Forever, you would enjoy the joke.
I saw Tyler
will-
immediately just smile and go,
I will
"Yep."
fight you for that. There is Batman Forever is a much better movie than you think. But then again, you and I disagree on the two Michael Keaton Batman movies there. Which one's better?
Yeah, I can't. And Forever is the one with the Riddler and Two-Face.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well-
it could have been a better movie. You fight me on that. It could have been a better movie.
Okay, we'll go down another pop culture rabbit hole. So mark down Batman Forever on your scorecards, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to our Batman Forever podcast.
So the Schumacher cut is out there. We need to get that released here. Anyways. JC, did you have anything else?
Not really. There's yeah, we kind of already discussed everything. One of the questions was going to be any big revelations during the opening bit, but I think we've kind of covered everything that folks caught during that, or went and made sandwiches during it for. Yeah.
Gary, did you have anything?
I do. And I'm laughing because I realize it's another Batman reference.
Oh no.
One of the members of the small council has a big, long, hooked nose, and he reminded me of the Penguin from Batman the Animated Series. I couldn't unsee it. It's like, that looks like the Penguin. How did the Penguin get inside NERV? Like, rewatch it. Seriously, it side by side. I swear they'd be the same guy, or maybe I just have bad memory. But it looked like the Penguin. I noticed a specific line that Ray says in her poem, or whatever you guys listening to the poem and everything else, and all I hear is, who is Commander Ikari? And all I can think of, a time clone. Or secretly in love with Ray. I don't know. But literally, that said, no one else acknowledged this, that like, of all the blah blah she spit out, she asked, who is Commander Ikari? Which is the question every viewer asks. I think that is a revelation, like, who is Commander Ikari? Because I still don't know. Time Clone is still #1 with a bullet, best explanation for why he is who he is. He's kind of an ass, and he doesn't seem to have, like, I don't know why he does what he does. He doesn't interact with people well. I don't know how you rise to the top of bureaucracy so well with so little interpersonal skills. But that is all I had for this episode. The Penguin and who is Commander Ikari.
Okay. Two comments here to talk about here at the end of the well, I'm gonna go 3. One back to the beginning when they were going through the slideshow. They're recapping the beginning part, the first 13 episodes there. I thought for a brief moment that even they were given the Evas a name, but they kept referencing them as Maiden Sortie. And I was like,
So I can clarify that. A sortie is a military term for a fight. So their maiden sortie is their first fight. So
Got
like
it.
a ship goes on a maiden voyage, a battle piece goes on its maiden sortie.
okay, so that makes sense because that came up when they were talking about the different Evas being introduced there into their fight with the angels.
Yep. Yep, I can see that.
Okay. There's a part there after Unit 0 goes berserk when the science lady, who I'm going to pull a Steven, I don't remember her name. She talks about
Ritsuko.
Ritsuko. I think it
Ritsuko.
was her who talked about it. It was like trying to attack her almost. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was crazy because I was sitting here like, oh my god, it was attacking Ray, and then she drops that little bomb too.
Yeah.
That's it.
What?
I think everyone there was thinking he was attacking Ray, and she's the only person who said it's attacking her and gives no hint as to why.
She doesn't. But there was a split second when it was attacking that I had this thought of like, oh, the bonding didn't work and it's trying to get back to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so oppositely wrong. Possibly. Probably.
Actually, but yeah, we also see Ray during that scene, like she's standing right next to the window as it's all just being caved in closer and closer, and Misato tells Ray, "Ray, get out of there!" And Ray just like kind of looks back, like, "What? I'm fine." So it seems like Ray also knows that the Eva was not going for her. So we'll see what comes of that, if anything. But yeah, it's definitely
Cool
a
and
weird.
calm.
Yeah, just totally cool and calm about this giant, weirdly shape-shifting in size Eva is trying to get at her. But yeah, fun moment. Good catch.
And then the other thing was the whole spear part there. I'm just going to call it the spear there. You see Ray walking off with it there, and it's just like, okay, they obviously, it's one of those things. They call it out, they specifically mention it and all of that stuff, and then they show it. So it's like, okay, this is going to be important kind of going forward here, I think. Something's going to happen. And on then to the next episode 15. JC?
Yeah, it's episode 15. Those women longed for the touch of others' lips and thus invited their kisses. Or Lies and Silence. Shinji visits his mother's grave in the company of his father, and Misato reflects upon her bygone romance with Kaji.
So,
Well, first of all, what a title of Thus Invited Their Kisses, then start with the synopsis. Shinji visits his mother's grave.
yeah. So,
Boy, oh boy.
I want to just start with that part of the episode there when they're at their grave. It's so great because you have Shinji being somewhat hopeful and stuff like that. Because all throughout the episode, he's just nervous about being there with his dad and everything like that. And then Shinji's kind of like this, not really hopeful or whatever, but a little bit more upbeat. And then his father is just like so straight to the point. Nope, we destroyed all the photos and stuff like that. Oh, it's been 3 years since you were last here, right? It's just, and then just out of nowhere, that jet shows up to take him away. It's like, he says, our time is up. I need to go now. It just leaves Shinji there. It's so great.
It is
So
randomish. I was gonna say, obviously we all watched this separately. I didn't read the intro to the episode to know that it's visit the grave. I got it just strictly out of text of like, oh, we're gonna see your dad tomorrow, and you're gonna go see your mom. That's all I got for like 2 minutes of like, oh my gosh, we're gonna meet his mom. Like, never mentioned, never explained. I was like, there's just gonna be this woman who's gonna come out of the woodworks, like maybe in a wheelchair or something, and be like, oh, hi, mom, and then have some inexplicable reason why she's never shown. Maybe she's a cruel, evil person. Like the dad is the nice one. Like, mine went racing, and then it's like, oh, whoops, she's actually dead. And I was like, that is much less exciting. But I will agree with Tyler. That scene, fire. Like, exactly spot on for both characters. Good character development, because it's just like, you expect Shinji to get some growth, or Shinji's dad. No, just like lock, stock, exactly who you think they're gonna be that entire scene. Anyway, JC.
Yeah, I forgot. I totally couldn't tell you if on first watch if I had suspected that Yui was already dead or not. But yeah, the mothers have been such a question this whole episode. I completely forgot, knowing from watching it previously that she's already dead. that like this, they play it like, oh, you could see his mother could be there, and nope, it's just a grave. And he's got this whole buildup of like Masato trying to console him and get him hyped up. Like, no, you have to take the first step. And it's not just the first step, you have to keep walking. And then as the jet wash is just blasting around him in the cemetery, he's like, hey, I liked hanging out with you. And Gendo goes, I see. And just hops in the jet with Ray, who's on board, and just jets off. Such a good moment.
So I have, and I will call them out as they come up. I have several moments this episode where, and I will go with this one. Wow, ditching your child. What a weirdo. No wonder he doesn't have any friends. And I have several moments for all the characters doing this throughout the entire episode that I will be coming out with. And this was definitely Ikari's, okay, that was a weird thing to do. Just peace out, kid. Oh, man. That's, I don't know. You see why Shinji's damaged. I don't know what else to say there.
Yeah.
And then kind of speaking of Ray too, it's kind of interesting to wrap back to earlier in the episode. Shinji is in an elevator with Ray of like, so what do you know about my dad? She's like, nothing there. Because he sees them two kind of interacting a lot and everything. And then we obviously see Ray in the jet there and stuff like that too. It's just hilarious that Shinji then goes to Ray to ask for advice for just talking to his dad.
And you don't even get the impression of what they talked about because she's just like, nothing. And this actually brings me to a second point. Then Shinji also goes on to say, you looked like a mother earlier. And that was my next one. Shinji saying, you look like a mother to Ray. What a weirdo. No wonder you don't have any friends. That's just so weird. It's such a weird thing to say. You looked like a mother earlier. Neat.
I thought that was one of the times where Shinji actually deserved what Asuka's always calling him. You're an idiot. Why did you say that?
And it's that he sees her wringing out a cloth, and that's his big fixation point, where it's like, oh, she wrings that cloth like a mom does, which is like,
And then
what
he
a
thinks
weird
the
thing.
compliment is, hey, you could be a housewife.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Very good stuff. But I also noticed back in the previous episode that during the synopsis part, Kensuke has his part where he's talking about Ray, and he goes like, it's hard to believe she's the same age as us. So it's like, it was a bit of a question for the group that like, do you think, we've noticed that Ray's weird, but do you get that read that she has like an old soul type personality? Or is there something more beyond that? And somewhat part two of it, like, could you see yourself as a 14-year-old with that person as your peer going like, oh yeah, no, she is an old person. So.
I personally feel like, in throwing away what's coming up, I have more of a feeling like she's a blank slate, almost like this is her world, this is her life. She's not well adjusted, and like we've seen her apartment, she doesn't seem like, it's not an old soul so much as a hyperfixation on one thing, to the point where she's not well rounded, let's put it.
I was gonna say something else until you kind of mentioned that part there, Stephen, of like it's like she definitely kind of grew up in this. It feels like this is the only thing she knows of being this Eva pilot. This is my focus. This is my job and stuff like that. Everything else is ancillary to that. So that's what it kind of feels like for me, is like she is just so focused in this world that she lives in and stuff like that. She doesn't really have anything else. Gary?
Okay, JC asked a real poignant and specific question, so I decided to roll back. Conspiracy theory number 1. Ray is actually Shinji's mom. Thus, the grave is empty, and Shinji's dad decides to spend this momentous day of the mom's death with Ray. Also, later on in the episode, you see Ray in a pod that might be like a cryo regeneration pod, or something, or implanting the memories. But I think there's something deeper between Rei and Shinji's dad, and I think it's that we don't have any backstory on Rei. Like, we don't know anything about any of their backstories like 5 years before this. So everything is possible until it is specifically disproven. And JC, I decided
who's
to
the
let Tyler
stenographer?
and,
Could
and
we get all
Steven
of that?
answer your question before I drop this in, because I felt like it would have been a real dick move to drop in the middle.
Thank you
Gary
for that,
yelling.
Gary.
Appreciate that.
Gary yelling out desperately, and you can't disprove it. Does not
can't
mean we
disprove
can
it.
disprove it. I'm just keeping track of the number of conspiracy theories. I am not keeping track of his conspiracy theories. I don't even understand. No, I don't even remember what he just said.
I'll have to listen back to the podcast a couple times to make sure I get it all.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rei is
man.
secretly in somehow a clone of Shinji's mom or something. Anyway, JC, continue.
And Shinji is Time Gendo.
Shinji's time, Gendo.
I don't know. This might be a different alternate
so
theory. It
they
might
could
not
be
on the
exclusive
same-
of each other. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I had anything else after that. How do you follow it?
Yeah, how do you follow that?
There's no way to follow up with that.
I just seriously felt bad. I was like, JC was talking about the mom and Rei, and I was like, oh my gosh, perfect segue to the conspiracy theory. And then he asked a pointed question. I'm like, I should not jump in right here. I'll wait till I'll let Tyler and Steven give a like honest, concise answer before I completely spike the ball. Anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
who wants to who wants to pick up the pieces after that one there and go forward?
Oh my god.
Amanda,
Make Gary follow it up. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just go to Gary.
I'll go back to the beginning of the episode, and that's the Ahsoka. I always screw up her name.
I did do the same thing.
Is literally crying wolf about being assaulted or like
right
purse snatch. And obviously this is not something that's acceptable in the 21st century. I would really question if it was acceptable in 1995, but I don't know, maybe that's just how girls thought they needed a knight in shining armor in the 90s or something. But that was...
Amanda, how did you think?
I'll tell you when I see the knight in shining armor.
Fair enough.
Not the person trying to draw a D&D character and scanning out all the people's knees.
I have nothing. Can't say anything about it.
Also, not related to my conspiracy theory because these were written in different orders. Back to the beginning of the episode is that Rei gets told that she looks like a mother, and she seems very, very offended by that. Like obviously she's got some mother baggage in the background. Also, yeah, just really dumb thing to say. Also, it's very, very quick before Shinji's dad shows up at the cemetery. But there's these flashes of Shinji's dad's face that are like freaking nightmare fuel. Just like out of nowhere, like it just completely breaks up the tone of like the conversation. Like he's having, I don't know, it's supposed to be like a panic attack about like just thinking of his dad's face. But I thought that was, anyway, JC.
Yeah, speaking to that part, yeah, it's like he's kind of, it's after Masato's talking about like how Shinji is both anxious and scared to go meet Gendo, and so yeah, he's thinking about like kind of the duality of Gendo, which is Gendo just towering over a clearly young Shinji because he's like looking down so much and he's just saying "get out" in this very, even for Gendo, angry voice. And then the next one is the episode that we saw already where he goes, "Good work, Shinji." And just like those are the two dualities where Shinji is like, I hate that and I really like that. Like that's his low and high. Low is an actual abusive person emotionally abusing you, and high is Hey, good job. But yeah, the other part you mentioned about Rei having a big reaction to that is that that struck me too. That like we saw Shinji do this whole anime song and dance of falling on her naked and accidentally copying a feel and all this stuff, and she just is totally blank slate throughout it, but saying, hey, you really wrung that cloth like a mom, you could make a good housewife. She is full anime blushing and just shaking and just doesn't want to turn to look and face Shinji, and it's just like, what are you talking about? Just very short and curt in a way that she never is, which is very weird. Steven?
And I guess I found it more. I didn't think she was angry, more than she was very embarrassed. Maybe, maybe flushed. Like I almost took it as not. Maybe she took it as just an over the top compliment, almost. So I was looking at it the exact opposite way. I didn't see her angry at all, but I saw her as maybe being told something that she never thought she would be told, and or had never had an impression of her being able to do, or something to that extent. I don't know exactly, but being flustered for a different reason, completely different reason, basically.
All right. Gary, did you have anything further you wanted to touch on, or?
Oh, I've got notes up the wazoo. The next note that I had was Ahsoka like left a date, and she left her date in the line for the roller coaster. So the level of like just evil and vindictive. Also, that a teenager would be like, nah, I can pass on a roller coaster. Like just especially since it just seems such a tangent from her personality of like very little responsibility, like very little like roller coasters seem like her jam. Like, so it seemed weird that she'd ditch a date. Steven?
Yes, I thought it almost jibed with her a little bit, because I think the big thing for her is that she wants to be taken. She thinks she's older than she is. She thinks she's far more mature than she is. She thinks that she is the adult in the room, regardless of if there is an adult in the room or not. And so ditching someone at a theme park, which would be a great thing for like teenagers to go and have a date at, I could definitely see her look at it and go, oh, this is a kid's date. Why didn't you bring me out to the 5-star restaurant, the Michelin guide restaurant, with chauffeur me there with black tie and all blah blah blah. I don't know. That's kind of how I have the impression of her.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
And then, oh, Tyler. At one point it cuts to a montage of the wedding. I thought that it wasn't a lot of scene, but I thought that was a good like passage of time and scene setting. Is like, we don't need to show you the entire wedding. We're just gonna show you a montage of like toasts, bad karaoke singing, and
highlights.
like cake cutting. Yeah, highlight reel. So I thought that was fun. The aftershock of that is Aranami is throwing up and Ponytail tries to kiss her. And I just like on the first watching was like, wow, this guy's a freak. Like that person just threw up. Like, you must really, really want to kiss if you're gonna like put your tongue in someone's mouth who just like was blowing chunks.
Okay, so
that's my opinion.
I have a different read on that situation.
What is your read, Steven?
So my read on that situation was she did get absolutely freaking wasted, and I actually have a note in here. Vomiting in a dark alley. I feel for you, Masato. I've been there. So I understand that. But then when she's walking back, she starts getting real philosophical, as one does when they get really freaking drunk with someone you probably shouldn't get drunk with. And so she starts divulging the deepest, darkest secrets of her drunk life, why she left him, why it wasn't actually her fault. And I have says one more as well. It's I was looking for my father and other men, to the guy she had been sleeping with. weirdo. No wonder you don't have any friends. But she but she tells him that, and then she starts saying, "Oh, I'm such a horrible human being," and blah 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 blah. And he ends up kissing her to stop her from continuing on. I think that's sexually aggressive. I don't think that's the proper way of doing that by any means, but I think that is the quote unquote romantic way of doing it back in the 90s. So I think that might have been what they were trying to go for there. That he was.
JC.
I was gonna say that they have moments where Kaji shows his tender side in this one, where he's not just straight up assaulting women around the NERV HQ, and he talks about like, oh yeah, me and Misato. I mean, maybe we were just too young. We were just playing married. We were playing house and all this stuff, and maybe it would have been different if we had grown up a little bit. Life's more complicated than just playing at marriage. And so yeah, this is his face turn, for lack of a better word, where he's gonna be the good guy in this moment and stop her from beating up on herself by showing her true romance at this moment. But then he ends up just taking her home and dumping her in the couch and going off to do some spy shit again in NERV HQ. So, Gary?
Yeah, I think Steven at his point was like, maybe it's just to kind of shut her up because she's like kind of going off the rails. Or I just on a rewatch, I got that. First watch, I got this guy's a freak for kissing someone who just vomited. Second watch, I got maybe he's just trying to like cut off the conversation because it's going too philosophical. And my third theory is that he's trying to hide his guilt because he's a spy and he feels bad that like she's pouring out his heart and like it was truly real for her and she feels true guilt about it. And he was a spy the entire time and it meant nothing to him and he felt guilty, and so he just needed to stop the conversation because he felt so guilty that he is truly a terrible human being squared. He's not just like a dick to all the women around, but he's a dick who also is a spy who it meant nothing to. JC?
Yeah, potentially counter to that, we already know that Ritsuko from earlier in the wedding straight up tells Kaji to knock off the spy shit. He's going to get himself killed. And then after dropping off a very drunk Masato, who passes out in her room, the next morning is whenever we get to the end of the episode, and Misato is there calling out Kaji for trying to bust into this secret room, and is saying, hey, you're actually from the Japanese Ministry's investigative department. So unless you just got a heck of an info dump that morning as she woke up, I'm thinking that she probably already knew that there was some spy shit going on with him at some point. Though it could have been a situation where she knew that a spy existed. Who knows? But no, that would be my read on it. That it wasn't necessarily that. Maybe Kaji was just blind to the aspect that other people knew, including Misato, and was trying to cover his tracks with that kiss. Steven?
I had in my notes as well. How bad a spy is Kaji? He has 3 spy missions during this one episode, and every single time someone finds him. Every single spy mission. The first time he goes to a Marduk Institute, like empty house, and guess what? Some old lady's out back going, oh, I know more than you do. All right, caught once. Second thing, he is at a wedding, and the Akagi goes, hey, I know what you're doing. Stop. You're an idiot. You're not doing it well. And he's like, oh, well, we will see. And then the next day, he tries it again, and Misato catches him. It's like, he's been built up to be the super spy the entire time, but apparently he can't do one spy thing right.
I guess they're safe then.
I was gonna say that first mission, at least, the old lady with the cat. I'm pretty sure that's his Japanese ministry handler. We see him talking to a lady with a cat in the Magma Diver episode, and whenever he's on that weird lift, talking about like, oh, NERV is gonna pull whatever thing to where they're going to try and capture it, and then now here he is talking again to this lady. Oh, it's me, she says, like announcing her presence to him, like, oh, okay. And they fully start talking about everything, and it's that old lady with the cat hanging out as well. So to me, that was really
what's that? I was gonna say, I
Okay.
thought, how does the handler know he's gonna be there? Like, assumedly, he's on some super secret spy mission. He thinks he is just the top of the tap. He has found this Marduk Institute place. He is gonna investigate it, and handler's already there. Handler's already found it. It's like James Bond trying to find the something, and then M just being there. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Why do you even hire James Bond at that point? Sorry, continue.
Mark James Bond off your bingo card. And is it possible that Masato is not actually drunk? Because early on in the show, it is proven that she drinks beer for breakfast. And so I'm guessing she has probably a pretty good alcohol tolerance. So what are the chances she's just faking it? Because she seems, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed the next day.
I think,
Anyway.
doesn't the scientist lady even say that she's going pretty hard?
Yeah.
And assumingly she's around her all the time, so I would assume that she definitely got wasted. But she has bounce back capability. Puke and rally. Puke and rally.
Puke and rally. I was going to get back to the first part with the Kaji meeting that handler there at the building. I took it more as not she was already like he was there snooping around to try and find something. I took it more as that's where they were meeting. It's just
That's what
they
I
happened
did
to be
too,
in
yeah.
that building. It wasn't just really a mission for him.
Sure.
A little bit of work and pleasure combined, where it's like, hey, we're going to meet, but also this is an empty company that's supposedly one of the 108 companies that helped fund the Marduk Institute. And he's like, oh, okay, so this is also nothing. So it's effectively showing that only one company is really behind the Marduk Institute and they don't really know what it's about. So more fun.
Anything else on that? Otherwise, my next point was going to Ahsoka trying to kiss Shinji. And first watch, I was like, well, that's weird. And the second watch, I saw that his skin changes colors like he's grasping for air.
She told him not to breathe.
Plugs his nose and then he can't breathe. That's it.
Yep.
Done.
Suffocate and die right in front of her.
All right, so my first quick note is this is my last kissing a guy you randomly don't like because you're bored, weirdo. No wonder you don't have any friends. Anyways, it's also, this was a, this scene actually has stuck with me over the years, from the first time that I watched this, in just how emotionally abused, we know Shinji's emotionally abused. We know that Rei's emotionally abused. Just how emotionally abused Asuka is as well. And the impetus for her kissing Shinji is that what's his name? Bad
Kaji.
Spy Dude. Thank you. Kaji is out. He's not responding to any of her calls. And then apparently now he's going out with Masato to a wedding, all this stuff. Can she use her can you use the lavender perfume? No, I can't. All that sort of stuff. So she's feeling really, really, really jealous of Masato and of Kaji's time. And part of the reason I did that is because Kaji, I feel like, has almost cultivated this really weird relationship with her where he's kind of leading her on. He's never setting these boundaries. I think it would be very obvious as a guy, if you know that like a younger girl is attracted to you, you need to shut that shit down. There's no oh ho ha ha, it's cute, funny plaything. You shut that shit down right there, right then. It's not cool to play on that at all. And Kaji just lets it kind of vibe through. And that's what leads Asuka to keep thinking, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. He's going to be with me. And then to kiss Shinji because he's bored. She's bored. And after that, obviously it's a comedic effect. Apparently they don't know how to kiss because apparently Shinji can't breathe during the entire thing. I don't know what exactly she's doing that she's not letting him breathe, but whatever. And then it gets to Masato comes back with Kaji and he hugs Kaji and she's the lavender perfume, and you can see that kind of moment of heartbreak on her face as that happens as well. And it's I don't know if maybe he just thinks that it's so obvious that she should just get over it, but I think it's very obvious that she's oblivious to the fact that Kaji doesn't like her, and that it's a really weird and bad relationship in my view. So I'd be interested to hear you guys' thoughts on that. Tyler.
Well, I was actually going to go with something a little bit lighter there to bounce off of your topic there. But I will agree, though, that I do kind of agree with your sentiment there, that it seems like he's not, at least from the little bit that I'm remembering from him, he's not really doing anything to keep that going from his end, but he's not doing anything, though, to shut it down like any sane, rational adult would there. Gary, and then I'll come back to my other point.
I was going to say everyone got their coherent thoughts on the kiss before I went to conspiracy theory number 2. Is that Asaka is actually a succubus. When she kisses him, you see the life force getting drained out of him. He changes colors, and at the last second she says, "What am I doing? Like I'm just doing this for fun." But in fact, she's trying to murder him, and decides she has a change of heart. That is my theory. And you cannot disprove it because we do not know what kind of super psychological power she in fact has. Tyler.
I'll throw it over to JC here first.
In terms of like the read on Kaji and Asuka's feelings for him, I agree with that completely. That she is obsessive almost to the point of just like, I don't know if it was something that Kaji and Asuka were some part of their past before we meet up with them on the boat in episode whichever, but it's definitely something that Asuka is looking to him. I don't know if it's a father figure thing or she just thinks he's the one cool adult in the room. I mean, if you're the adults in your life are Gendo Ikari, old Fuyutsuki, or Kaji, you're probably going to go with Kaji, even though he's kind of a dick, right? But regardless, her reaching out to Shinji is, I think, I always read that, and it has stuck with me as a scene from the previous watch as well. It's something that she initially says it as like, "Oh, we just need to let's just kill time, like whatever." And then after the kiss, like, that's not something you should do to kill time. She's almost upset with herself, and I've always read this as like some part of her enjoys Shinji's presence, enjoys Shinji's company, and even if it's not necessarily, she doesn't understand to what extent, that there are some sort of feelings there, and something about that kiss just kind of makes it change in her mind. I'm not sure if it's a repulsion or a further attraction that makes her realize that this was too much of a playful moment. But it's always been to me more about their specific relationship from, back in the pool whenever she's talking about thermal expansion on her boobs to rile them up. Things like that just kind of, to me, always seem to be more about their relationship leading up to this moment, more than like her projecting other relationships into Shinji for that scene.
I actually wanted to circle back for the lighter moment here that we get to see Pen Pen in the episode here. First, he gets left all alone by himself when they all leave to go to the wedding or...
Bye. Yeah. Everyone's saying.
And then there's when Shinji is sitting there playing his cello, Pen Pen's sleeping in his fridge area there, listening to it, and then also then too, like when Asuka and Shinji are kissing there, he opens it, looks at him, and then closes the door again on him.
I'm out.
Good stuff from Pen Pen, though. Okay, I guess speaking of Pen Pen here, again, I'm going to ask the question, but I don't want to know the answer here just yet. Is he relevant at all in the show, or is he just like a comedy, like a comedic bit that just shows up every so often to add some brevity to the scene there? So I'm going to ask that question here, but again, I don't need to know the answer.
I didn't want to spoil it, but we've kind of touched on it now that actually Pin Pin is Gendo thrown back in time. So
Very likely.
it'll change
Sounds
the rest of
about
the
right.
series for you going forward, but it's just something we should know going forward. Yeah.
Honestly, I thought you guys were going to catch on to that pretty early after Gary said it. It was just so close to the real thing.
Yeah.
Pen starts this all off.
I want to know why Pen Pen's so smart. Oh no. Hold on. Okay, go.
Or Pen Pen is secretly another angel. He was infiltrated NERV in a very, very weird way.
This did not start out with conspiracy theory number blank, so this does not count.
Yeah, we
I
don't
didn't think it was good enough.
Yeah, that's fair. There's a standard for Gary's conspiracy theories, and that standard may not be lowered.
So that's great that we have the first angel appear at the end of this episode, and we know the third angel is what started the series. So who's the second angel? Could be Pen Pen.
That's true.
Also, I didn't think I didn't think about this, but Pen Pen, first of all, is very smart, and I do want to know why she is such a smart penguin, and everyone thinks this is normal. But is it a coincidence that penguins are definitely some inhabitants of Antarctica, and we definitely know that Misato was in Antarctica at some point before it turned into the giant wasteland of floating pillars?
Have we found the fourth children yet?
Is Pen Pen the fourth children? Oh, that'd be amazing.
They never say it's the fourth, first, second, third, etc. human children. So we could have an Air Bud situation going on here in Eva.
Who names these things? Seriously. The fourth children. I'm gonna
as part of. Go ahead. Sorry.
You know what? Name something. Give it a good name. You know what? Make sure it's vague. Make sure it can be confused with something we already use every day in our language. Add a religious overtone too.
As part of my prep work for episode 14, with all the big recap stuff, knowing that there were dueling subtitles going on, I went ahead and looked up an actual script recap and saw that for all the parts, granted this was it was literally from a GeoCities recovery site, and so they called all of the third children not the third child. They also had the third child, parentheses, the third qualified individual, which I thought was a very fun way of saying. Like, I'd never heard that one before. I always thought it was just child or children, but nope, qualified individual.
Qualified individual.
Very wordy version.
All right. Gary kind of covered a lot of stuff from the episode. Did we have anything further? I know there's one big part at the end here we need to talk about, but did anyone have anything further?
I do. One more thing.
Okay.
And I have it in capitalization here on my notes. Ray in a tube of cyber weirdness. And that is, I think, 2/3 of the way through the episode, maybe halfway through the episode. We just get Ray in a tube, Ray naked in a tube, with a whole steampunk thing coming out of it, doing God knows what. And it was interesting, I guess, because it's, I think the lead up to that is, oh, Ray's not in school. Yeah, because Ray's in the basement of the basement of the basement where the guy's playing shogi, and Ray's naked in a tube being cyberly altered or something. I don't know.
To me, the whole structure of the tube too had this kind of brain looking kind of the folds and stuff like that of the brain. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then too, you get a smile from Gendo when he's sitting there looking at her. So
yeah,
I don't think
is
it's
that our first recorded Gendo smile or what?
I think he smiled before that. And I was going to say, I don't think it's a pervy type smile. I think it's just more of a actual happiness smile, but. Okay. Weird. Yes.
Yeah.
So
that does lead into the final scene, really, where it's we are told that's what they call it, the deep underground facility, Central Dogma, which is where Ray's at this whole thing covered in or filled in this LCL tube, and then it has the subtitle 2,008 meters below this location, and then we see Kaji skulking around doing some stuff under what's labeled as the main LCL plant. And then Masato pulls a gun on him, reveals that she knows everything, and Kaji flips open the door, and we get this huge creature angel thing crucified. For folks who haven't, someone who hasn't seen it before, what are we looking at?
We are looking at
Four.
Adam, the first angel there, who started the second impact. Which I was just like, what? It was just like one of those things of like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't know if he's alive. I don't know if he's dead. I guess he's probably not dead, because then the part that I picked up the second time I watched it was at first you see two things stuck in his chest there, and then after they pull it back a little bit, you realize it's the spear that Rey was carrying, and I was like, huh. So she's been there recently too. And also too, like, I don't really get, like, you don't get like a size perspective too of like how big is this thing compared to like the humans that are there.
I guess the one real comparison to me was always the spear, where you have the spear that Rey was carrying in the Eva unit, and that was as taller than she was at that point. And then that spear is just, it looks like if you were to take a human-sized spear and have that in a human-sized chest there. So it's, to me, it's Eva-ish sized. And even Masato at first thinks that, oh, is that an Eva? And then Kaji has to correct, nope, not an Eva. Man, it's a weird thing, because I don't know, there's so many weird details. There's 7 little eyeballs throughout its almost mask-like face. If you look at the torso, it looks like it's had its legs cut off, but if you look at it, there's little bulbs, and
legs.
and each of those has little tiny legs as well on it. It's a creepy look.
Yeah.
And then on the back of the crucifix, that it's pinned to, its straight up hands are crucified in the typical crucifixion pose, got the stigmata because of the giant nails through its hands and everything. And it's also got an orange liquid oozing out behind it. So this is, in fact, the main LCL plan is apparently just this creature's orange oozing life juice, whatever it could be, some sort of. So they're basically sipping on angel juice the entire time they're riding in an Eva. It's a hell of a finish to the episode.
They're milking the angel.
Sorry.
Sipping on angel juice.
That's right.
Lean
Come
back.
on. It's
And they do
kind of-
lay back in the Eva cockpit, so yeah.
Yeah.
Another pop culture reference there for you, keeping score.
It's absolutely horrifying. It makes you wonder kind of if the bottom of Adam got cut off and then that grew back. Like it's a horrifying thing to see at first. I wouldn't even say at first. It's just a horrifying thing to see. I think the thing that pops out to me as well is it has 2 spears in it, not just one. It has 2. So whatever they are doing there, I'm pretty sure.
I think it's 2
No?
prongs. I think it's like a
I thought-
trident or whatever.
Oh,
I think it's like
did I see it
2
wrong?
prongs of
Yeah.
the spear.
Is that technically a bident? I don't know the terms
bident?
of spears, but yeah, like I thought the Longina spear was two pronged in the world.
I easily could have just missed that. That's fine. But one way or another, it's weird.
Yep.
So, yeah. You obviously then kind of go into the fact of like, okay,
Oh,
well,
right.
all the angels have been trying to attack NERV base. Oh, I wonder
Mhm.
why. And then you have this thing in the basement here, so obviously they're doing experiments and stuff on it. So it's like, okay, it's kind of like one of those things too of like Transformers and all of that stuff. You have all of this like early thing that landed there, something like that, and now you're like studying it and basing all of your technology off of it from there and stuff. So quoted Transformers, there we go, more pop culture reference there for you. But yeah, anything else we want to touch on for this episode?
Very last thing is I do want to just clarify the thing that Shinji says, or that I keep forgetting her name. Masato tells Shinji before he goes in, "Oh, you're with the Public Investigations for Japan." So apparently, the Department of Public Investigations for Japan, the United Nations, like I had mentioned earlier, neither know what NERV are doing. And NERV is doing all of this on Japanese soil. I think I still remember when I was a kid and kind of hearing that, because, I mean, as a kid, I'm going, oh, yeah, they're doing it all for the good of humanity and blah, blah, blah. And then you get this point like, whoa, this is like illegal? Like the Japanese police aren't okay with this? What's exactly going on here? Why am I rooting against the spy? Shouldn't I be rooting for the spy to do what he's doing now? Like, who's the good guy at this point in time? Because apparently no one is in the right. So yeah, it was oh, sorry.
I was going to say it starts to play on Eva. I've talked somewhat big game early on that it plays on the tropes of typical mecha animes, and typical mecha animes are like, a lot of them will touch on the like, are we doing a good thing in a bad way? But I feel like this is almost the first one where you start to wonder, or like, are they doing a good thing at all? Is this what is this whole angel doing down here in potentially, I don't know what if this is like attack formation, if this is like, who knows what sort of danger this thing could still possess at this point, but it's clearly up to, there's some nefarious things going on that this is here and in such a secret location at this point to who knows what ends really.
Anything else we want to touch on here? Going once, going twice. All right. So for next time then, JC, what are we going to be watching for when we come back and record episode 7?
Next time, we're going to be watching episodes 16 and 17, Splitting of the Breast, or The Sickness Unto Death, and then episode 17, Fourth Child, or The Fourth to Be Qualified.
So it's going to be another 2 episode.
Yep, it'll be 2 episodes. After this, we have 2 episodes for the next 3 podcasts.
Okay.
It's starting to get a little dense.
Yes. Getting a little thick there with details popping up.
And if nobody minds, I did have a sort of meta question for folks outside of the actual pure episodes so far, but noticing I've been grabbing these synopses from IMDb, and that they also have an episode rating attached to them there. So of the 15 episodes we watched so far now, what would you say, are there any single episodes that if someone said like, hey, I want to check out Eva, is there any particular good episodes? Like, what are your favorite episodes of these last 15? Any real standouts for anybody?
I will say that's a hard thing to kind of do in something like this, because each episode builds kind of on what you've seen before somewhat. I mean, for me, the one that stands out in my mind would be the one with the giant rhombus attacks.
Showdown in Tokyo 3, yes.
And then they fire the giant sniper rifle at it there, basically. I think that's just kind of all right there is just kind of a cool thing. And then the just coolness wise would be when the base gets attacked by, I think, the giant bug thing, the bug looking one, and that drops the acid down the tunnel.
Spider, yes.
It drops the acid down the tunnel there, and it takes all 3 Evas working together to kind of take care of it. I thought that was an okay episode as well. Gary?
I would say like Tyler said, the one where they all 3 had to work together. That was fun. Also, probably the highlight for me would be the Dance Dance Revolution episode, where they learn a synchronized dance.
So I will say, I think the episodes that I would like the best are still to come. But from the ones that are still here, honestly, it's the first episode, just because of the world building there. And something about the episode with all the cicadas and just the vibes that one gives. I like that one a lot. So I have cicada music playing constantly in the background, 24/7. I'll pipe it in for you guys.
So Steven said his best episodes are yet to come. Steven, would the best episodes yet to come be ones that someone could watch completely no background.
No.
And that was perhaps an error on my part to describe it that way, but just to say like more to say like which of them are standout episodes. If you had to tell someone like, hey, you should at least make it to this episode if you're gonna watch Eva, would maybe be a better way to say it. Because yeah, it is such an ingrained all the details carry through each episode that yeah, you can't really say like, oh, so just start with episode 5, the Rhombus attack, and you'll get it, because you're gonna be like, you're gonna be so lost on so many different things there if you just start there.
I think that it actually gets it compounds even more as you go further. So these episodes that are going to come impossible to watch without having watched the previous episodes, which is why that last episode they gave that entire recap. And they gave that recap because you can't watch the next episodes without knowing what that plot line is.
I'm gonna say like the other disadvantage of trying to get further on, it's obviously Steven says it gets better, is like I don't think this is a show that I'd want to try to watch in the background, like because there's a lot of reading. Like I couldn't be like, I don't know, doing Sudoku and have it on the background or whatever other people do, play video games or something and have.
No, this is very much a TV show that you have to watch to understand. It's not a back of the mind TV show. It's not a Shannara Chronicles.
You're just making stuff up now.
No, that's the Shannara Chronicles was a TV show that was on for a while. That was like, it was B at best. Apparently the books are fantastic. I have not read them, so no judgment on the books. But the show was very bad. So Amanda and I made a point to watch both seasons of it because it was just, it's fantastic. Just sit there and make fun of it. It was funny to watch. So that's our byword for a TV show that you just have on in the kind of the side just to giggle at.
Oh, don't talk about Gary and I watching bad episodes of TV here. After
we hope
Gary
Cold
watched
Rush.
No. Well, Gold Rush is terrible there.
Gold Rush is terrible. That is one where, okay, just going down a rabbit hole. Shows that you have to wait to get to. You have to wait till the jungle seasons. Tyler's
God.
much further along, but like if you can watch that show until the jungle season, like that's when you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is like rednecks like trying to do science. It's amazing.
I still blame you guys for that when Steven started watching that, and he's like, you want to watch this new show with me? And I was like, no, I don't. But it was on in the background, and you slowly get drawn in, and every single time he's like, isn't this great? And I was like, no, why have you done this to us? Because I am wanting to see the next episode, and I hate it at the same time.
Isn't this great? No, Steven, they don't know how to purify their water. They're getting their children sick.
God.
So did you guys get to rednecks in the jungle? Did you get to that point?
A couple episodes, and then I was done.
That's around
God.
that's around when Ari started getting old enough to see stuff. So
yeah, when we
Smart.
suddenly had to stop watching TV.
Yeah, smart point there. Stop watching bad TV.
I thought Tyler was talking about is it Bro Island? What was it called?
F-Boy Island.
Yeah, that's like definitely something to have on in the background. If you're paying full attention to that show, like you're getting dumber every second.
Yeah.
Well, so I asked this whole question just to lead up to the fact that with the IMDb ratings, there are 11 episodes that are higher than 8.0 of the 26 EVA run, and 9 of them are yet to come. So we've seen 2 so far. That would be Showdown in Tokyo 3 and Both of You Dance Like You Want to Win. So Rhombus and the DDR episode. So surprisingly, the first and second episode not the highest of the first batch. Episode 2 is exactly 8.0. But
depends on what you're watching for.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, it's just one of those things. Unless like it's a show that it really builds from each one there, but like it starts with just such a weird place too of like, okay, sure, and then it just kind of goes from there. So I can kind of see it being ranked lower because as you kind of keep watching, like everything is just building and building, and you're getting more detail filled in and everything.
If anything, almost episode 1 and 2, like they're setting up so much that you can at least ride along with Shinji in that moment of confusion, but then after that it starts to abstract itself a little bit, and you start just having scenes with just Ritsuko and Misato talking about things that are out of our control, and just Gendo and Kaji, where things are even beyond our understanding at that point. So, like right now, there are so many chess pieces that are thrown up in the air that we don't even know which level of the third dimensional chessboard they're going to land on at this point. So it's a lot of, so many unknown unknowns are still in play here. But yeah, we'll start to get things wrapped up somewhat shortly here. Yeah, gets to be some fun episodes. Looking forward to the podcast about them.
Either of the next 2 episodes on the top 10s?
Yes. Would you like me to tell you which one ahead of time?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Is it one or other? If it's just like one of the two, let me guess.
Nope.
Do you need us to
Don't
cover
even give
our
up.
eyes and then you can tell Gary?
Don't
Is
even-
it both of them? Or is it like one of the two? If it was one of the two, I want to guess which one is the good one.
I just have it marked in my spreadsheet as like above 8.0. So when you come back next time, you can just tell me which one you think was the better one, and we'll see if it matches up with the IMDb consensus.
I can deal with that.
There we go.
Amanda, I don't think you went. What were your favorite episodes there so far that we've seen?
I can remember random points. I actually enjoyed the one on the ocean quite a bit too.
Yeah, that's fun.
I thought that was a pretty good one. I would
couldn't
say the
get past-
one, the DDR one was actually pretty good. So I will give that.
I feel like the one in the ocean was the introduction of Asuka, and I feel like the absolute like venom of a character she was like made me like the episode a lot less. And I'm sure if you could get the venom of her out of that episode, it probably was a pretty decent action-packed episode of like lots of fun like monster fighting. But
I know there was another episode that I told you guys like I actually really enjoyed this episode, and I cannot remember which one it was.
Well, I remember
will
from
think
that
on
ocean
this.
episode, it was Misato that you just absolutely adored Misato during that ocean episode.
That was hilarious. That was great. Hey, want any help now?
Yeah, there are a lot of great scenes throughout some of these episodes. Even kind of rewatching it, like I don't expect. Like I think back on these Monsters of the Week episodes that we had the last couple weeks of like the time that the power is out and the weird spider thing comes out, and then like there are specific scenes within that that are still very cool. Like just how creepy that eyeball on that thing is when it's just oozing acid. Like there's a lot of very cool moments, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that episode is going to resonate with me for the rest of the time. But yeah, it's just great to revisit it and see those scenes that I maybe forgot about in the greater context of those episodes.
Agreed. So I think that'll probably then do it for us for this episode here. So join us next time when we discuss episodes 16 and 17.
Yep,
Okay.
16 and 17.
16 and 17. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. We hope you have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.